Why are they doing like that? Why are the rich developed countries of the world dumping their trash, their garbage on the shores of the poor developing countries? Why can't they dispose it off, or if they want to recycle it by themselves? A few days back, Sri Lanka started the process of returning back hundreds of containers of hazardous wastes to the United Kingdom. The question is, why did these waste containers from the United Kingdom land on the shores of Sri Lanka in the first place? To answer that question, you'll have to understand the dynamics of the trade in wastes globally. There's nothing ethical about this trade. It's not a trade, in fact, it's a crime. It's an unethical crime. And there's nothing ethical about one person handling and managing the wastes and the garbage and the trash of another person. And a similar logic holds good for one nation handling the wastes of another nation. It is in this spirit that in 1992, a certain Basel Convention was launched, under which the parties agreed that if the developed countries want to export their hazardous waste to the developing countries, then that developing country must give his prior informed consent. For example, if the United Kingdom wants to export some hazardous wastes to, say, Indonesia, then Indonesia must give its prior consent, and only then this trade can be possible. What are examples of hazardous wastes? Electronic wastes. But before I go into this, let me tell it's all a money game. It's all a money game. It's so bad, it's so unethical to kind of blackmail these poor countries that we will give you money. You just take our garbage and we will give you some money. Or sometimes if it is illegally smuggled, then you can make money by simply melting out our wastes, our garbage. And for the sake of money, the poor people in these importing countries, they stake their health, they stake the environmental beauty of the ports, of the shores, of the beaches, just to get some money. This is so bad. And hazardous waste, for example, electronic wastes, you just consider the circuit boards, and the poor people actually melt these circuit boards just to get some metals out of it. Ships, the useless ships, are another hazardous waste because they are all metals, steel, iron, and a lot of other entities. So the cutting is involved. Fumes, clouds of poisonous gases are found. You just go to the shores of Alang in Gujarat in India, the largest shipbreaking yard, and you will find how the beaches have been polluted because beaching is involved. They literally do all the shipbreaking on the beaches. That isn't allowed in the European Union. They have to go into the inner rocks. But in India, they do it on the beaches. And widespread pollution, all those harmful polluting metals get into the oceans. They can cause havoc in the marine ecosystems, havoc in the health. Just consider a country like Indonesia or Malaysia or Philippines, and tons of scrap plastic is coming. And what do? Do they actually recycle all of them? Well, they say so, but a good amount of it is burned, incinerated. Their ash is literally dumped into the oceans. What happens to the eyes, to the skins, to the lungs of the workers in those dumping facilities? Children, pregnant women, the situation is not good. All of these things are even more so in Africa. There are certain countries in which the customs law are not very strong, and in these countries all the smuggling of global hazardous wastes happen. In fact, there was a recent study which found out that on the shores of Western Sahara you had tons of radioactive waste. Where did it come from? And it was found it came from Italy. So all of these poor countries are the graveyards of wastes. And in fact, in 1995, a Basel ban amendment was passed, under which it was said that no trade at all in hazardous wastes will be allowed. But many countries were reluctant in signing that. United States is a country which has not ratified the Basel Convention. So, insofar as non-hazardous waste like scrap plastic is concerned, it can simply enter into bilateral agreements with countries like Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, any of these countries, and it can sell the scrap plastic. Insofar as hazardous waste is concerned, it can sell it to an OECD member country such as Mexico or Canada, and this is not barred by the Basel Convention. And then those countries, Canada or Mexico, whoever imports this waste from the United States, it can sell it to India or Malaysia or any of these developing countries. So ultimately the purpose of the United States, even without being a Basel Convention party, is actually solved. The trade, this is not a trade, I won't call it a trade. This is a crime. This is an unethical crime. If a country cannot dispose of its own waste by itself, then it should not produce it. It should not disproportionately produce wastes that it cannot dispose of. Just like illegal wildlife products, banned and illegal drugs, this trade in wastes should also be illegal. This is all for today.